Hello friends, now let us take up the 8th concept 3.8 literals. This is the third group in program tokens. Already I explained about keywords and identifiers. This is the third one. These are called as literals or constants or literal constants. Actually, one thing I have to tell you in this context, different names are used for same elements. Don't confuse. You know the all alternative names and all that. That's why you can avert future confusion. So now I tell you why these are called literals. Actually, one language defines them. They are part of one language. That's why those are called literals. Why they are called constants? Because they always represents a fixed value. In that sense, those are called constants. And for more clarity and simplicity, literal constants, that is the best uses. Okay, all these constants can be divided into two groups, literal constants and symbolic constants. Symbolic constants, actually at the last topic of this chapter we discussed, actually we define symbols to represent values. Suppose one value 3.14159. Then instead of writing this value, if you define a symbol pi, this mechanism is there, some preprocessor directive is there, I will explain. So this is called symbolic constant. Instead of this we use pi. Wherever you have to use this value, pi value, then simply you define pi value using preprocessor directive define, like include, then you can define symbolic constant. So you are using symbol instead of a value. This is highly readable and simple to write, and you can avert errors. Suppose if you write this one and all that, you may commit some error, but if you have to write this one, you never commit an error. And readability is also more. Instead of reading and understanding, actually just you understand how your brain grasps. If you read this, reading is one process. Thereafter your brain asks what is this, then second question is answered pi. Suppose simply you see pi and all that, in one operation you can understand. That is called readability. So this we discuss later. And regarding literal constants, I have to give a deeper explanation, then only you can own it. Otherwise some confusion will be there. Now you see, here I show you some declaration statements. Int age is equal to 20, float height is equal to 5.5, char grade is equal to a, char name Ekalavya. This string declaration, so far I didn't explain. In forthcoming chapters I explain. However, for the sake of integrity, I am giving this also. This is called integer literal. This is called floating point literal. This is called character literal, single character literal. This is called string literal. Actually, this I have to explain. Now you see why we call it as literal. Now 5 is there. 5 is part of one language. Which language I do not know. It is a part of a language. That's why it is called literal. A language, to represent certain value, certain symbol it is created. It is language oriented symbol. That's why I am calling it as a literal. For this purpose we have to put like this. And this is integer. This I will explain later. And here it is a integer literal. And why it is constant? Actually 20. 20 in any form you write 20, 20, 20. Now you see, in any form you write, the entire word gives understand a particular specific meaning, specific value. It represents a specific value. That's why it is called as a constant. As this is defined by a language, it is a part of one language, it is literal. It represents a constant value. that is a constant. In this context, I have to explain the variable definition. Let us recall the definition once again. Here, when I explained that, I explained it like this and all that. Suppose some address also will be there. A variable is the named memory location. A variable is the named memory location in which a constant is stored which is subject to a replacement. Just try to understand. Which is subject to change. Most of the books you find it is changed. There is a slight difference between change and replacement. Here we are calling as constant. What is the meaning of constant? A certain value which is not subject to a change, which is a fixed value, that is constant. So 20 is 20. Now this year your age is 20. Next year what happens? Your age is not changed. The 20 is replaced by 21. Next year 21 is replaced by 22. Previous year 19 was replaced by 20. That difference you find out. Replacement and change. Constant means constant should not be changed, cannot be changed. That's why you should use the replacement. Here what we are storing? We are always storing constants, literal constants. Literal constants are replaced by another literal constant. That you have to understand. Here this is the integer constant, this is the floating point constant. 5.5 means 5.5. It is a fixed value. It is a literal constant. And A is the character, single character. So it should be delimited by single quotes. Otherwise its meaning is different. So this is the, then only it represents a single character. Here already I introduced a string. String is delimited by pair of double quotes. A set of characters which are enclosed by pair of characters is called string. It is a string constant. Okay, this constant can be replaced by another string constant. Okay, so integer constant, floating point constant, character constant and a string constant. In this manner you have to understand. And next let us see the classification of these constants. Hereafter for the sake of uniformity and consistency I call them as constants, because several names if I use and all that, unnecessarily you are confused. That's why different names you understand. Here for the sake of uniformity I use as constant. Now C constant can be classified into two groups. The first one is numeric constant, second one is character constants. Numeric constants can be reclassified into integer constants and floating point constants. Integer constants and floating point constants. As far as character constants means, these are using characters. The first one is single character constant. This is the single character constant. And here one confusion is there. Actually A, you may not get a confusion. As far as 5 is concerned, here I am telling it is an integer constant. Now if you want to make it as a character constant you have to do this. And this is also a character constant. This is also a character constant. This is blank space constant. Actually one thing I am telling you, 5 as a symbol it is different, 5 as a value it is different. If you don't enclose with the single quotes and all that, it is a value, it is an integer constant, it represents value 5, but it represents 5 symbol. That point you have to remember. So this is a symbol, this is hash symbol, this is blank space symbol. Okay, that represents and all that. So here character constants can be classified into single character constants, and every time we have to take a single character and enclose it with pair of single quotes. Second one is backtrack constant. These are special. Already in a previous talk I explained to you, these are control characters because they are not printed. Those are non-printable characters. They represent an action. That's why those are called control characters. Now you see, these are called backslash constant because the prefix by prefixing backslash we create them, and these are also technically treated as single character. Here two characters are there, one is backslash, other one is a lowercase character. It represents new line sequence, it represents horizontal tab, it represents alert sequence, it represents backspace sequence. Even though here two characters are present, it is treated as single character technically. That you have to understand. These are control characters, they represent an action. Thereafter, string constants. String constant is a set of characters which are enclosed by pair of double quotes, Java, Ekalavya, like this and all that. Those are called string constants. The three are called character constant, the two are called numeric constants.